beware the partner who actually is, or at least wants to be, an employee.
That's beware with capital B.
Yes. All capital and EWAR and E as well, because there's a lot of people out there who love whatever their idea is of being a business owner. And and they're going to be right about some things, maybe the idea of having some flexibility, the idea of having, I'll say, unlimited upside. It's not actually unlimited, but it's, not like
exponential opportunity,
all of those things.
Yeah.
The control, and it might not be all of those things. It might be some, one or more of those things, but they also want the safety, the comfort of a salary, or or a job. Sometimes
mutually exclusive ideas, right?
Yes.
And I've been there before, because the idea of starting a business and being a swashbuckling entrepreneur, it's so darn sexy from the outside.
Yeah,
right?
from the outside.
From the outside.
Yes.
And magazines promote it, websites are heroes.
The American dream, Shannon.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos started on a door and this and all these guys. And it does sound, we celebrate the end state instead of recognizing the struggle, the years
grind.
and years, the grind. Yeah, the grind. And so, and I do it too. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Oh, I've lived it as well, and I do it because it's way more satisfying to talk about the successes than it is.
Sure.
Oh my God. Like I always say, and this is true, time heals all wounds. And so it's easy to forget how much it sucked at some points in time.
Brutal.
We both are recalling on our memories right now, and we're wrong. Like I know that we aren't remembering how bad it actually was, right?
Yep.
And so this idea of a partner that wants to be an employee, this is something to look out for. And I really feel like the working agreement is a good place to start this. And my advice is put in how the money's going to flow. If the word compensation ever enters the conversation about the working agreement, end it.
And I guess I agree with that, but I have a comment too that I'll interject. Unless someone's is one of the partners or one of the people are actually operating the business,
yes.
If they're having to trade time and their skills, then certainly that person should be compensated at some level. But they all, to your point, that it's nothing is guaranteed.
That's the part. The guarantee is the part.
So if you're making money and you're generating cash flow, the operating partner or whoever it is, partners, you could agree on some compensation. Okay, great.
But all equal partners need to be treated equally. I think maybe that's the place where if let's say the two of us are going to start a business, right? Just
I'm
for
ready.
the sake of argument. I know. Let's go. God grant me the serenity not to start another business. We both were going to work in the business. In fact, let's pretend we're starting a podcast, right?
Let's do it. Yes.
And so that we're going to split up the labor. We're both going to be hosts on the show, so we're going to do this together. I'll do the pre-production work of building the thing and mixing the episodes. You do the post-production work of putting the show out. For those of you who haven't picked up on it, I literally just described what Shannon and I do here.
Yes.
Like it's exactly this. And so, okay, all right, great. Here's the working agreement. How's the money going to flow? And I say, well, we're both equal partners in this. We're both putting time in. But Shannon, you've had a little more success than me. You don't need the cash flow like I do.
Oh, that's
and
terrible.
So,
Run.
Right. So,
Run away the way.
But we both agree that to make this business succeed, we both have to put time in. and I can't afford to put time in without being paid. So I want to make sure I get paid first and still maintain my 50% interest in this business. How does that sound to you?
If you're listening in the car or on your run or exercising, you can't see me shaking my head side to side vigorously, but that's the deal. These types of things never work. And I don't use the word never, I try not to use it, but that's a mindset and a mentality. And the person that you are ready to launch something very important is not on the same page as you. And the framework for how the business will operate is different than what you're thinking, I guarantee it. Or if you're that person that's asking for the compensation, I'm no problem. I get it. We all have to live. But
I explained a very reasonable scenario, but it can't remain that way. If both partners are working equally in the business and have decided that they own an equal share of the business for whatever reasons, there's a lot of reasons to get there, and that would actually be a good thing to talk about in another episode is how to decide on that for a partnership. But if you are in that scenario, it is my advice and certainly my opinion that everyone needs to be paid equally and simultaneously, or at least commensurate with their shares. So let's say, we had three partners and one was 50% and you and I were each 25%. Well, if $100 comes in, we give the other person 50, we each take 25, right? Like it unless there is unless one of us is a silent partner and not actively working in the business, that's different. Correct.
And that should be spelled out.
And that's going to be spelled out. But if both people or if all partners are working, and that's why I said equal partners need to be treated equally.
I agree.
If everybody's working in the business, if one person needs to take money out, everybody needs to take money out.
And if the business doesn't have the money, nobody gets it.
Nobody gets it. Correct.
You're not going in the hole because of one person's particular needs. That's a different discussion altogether.
Well, that's a loan.
That's a loan.
And if you're going to do that, and sometimes you might decide this is the right person for me to have in this business with me. I'm willing to do this.
Sure, of course.
Great. But my advice is figure out the repayment of that loan, how that's going to happen. And in the event and you might say, well, we'll repay it out of future earnings, right? That might be one way.
That's
Great.
fine. I agree that.
Put a time limit on it. And if the loan can't be repaid by future earnings by that time, give the partner the option to repay it out of their personal holdings, whatever that is. And if they can't, also describe how the shares in the company will shift to the person who didn't take the money out from the person who did. And it's essentially a purchase of the shares at a predefined price based on the day that the money was given out. And as long as you do that, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But my guess is many people who want to be paid like employees don't want to think of that as a loan or a purchase or somebody purchasing their shares from them because they want their shares.
Yeah, and I go back to the comment or the phrase I often say, all of these things as you're developing this idea and the working agreement and who's going to do what, these are all tests.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are harbingers, I really like that word, harbingers on the future and how it's going to look and how it's going to be handled when problems come up, because I guarantee you they're going to come up. And if your prospective, quote, partner is arguing a certain way or doesn't seem reasonable to you, that's how it's going to be in the future. Well, the working agreement is kind of like engaged encounter for business in the sense that, and we'll put a link in the show notes. We created a template and put it up on the website years ago. You should go get it and keep it, because then you don't have to have that uncomfortable discussion. You just drop this in their lap and say, okay, great. You fill this out the way you think it should look, and I'll fill out mine. And then you try to bring them together, and boy, you'll learn a lot.